Good evening. This side, Rahul Magan here. Yesterday, I was speaking with one of my friends on Skype, and we were discussing about the interest rate structure of the central bank. Technically speaking, every day about 1 hour, I try to speak with my friends, and we generally chat on these international issues. And yesterday, we were discussing about the interest rate structure of the central bank. During our discussion, a key argument has had happened, and in this argument, his views was that central bank should increase the interest rate. On the contrary, my view is intact that central bank should cut down the interest rate. Henceforth, I decided to make that video. But before that, there is a very important thing which we need to understand, which is called guidance. Now, technically speaking, the word guidance, we can search it out from the dictionary. But having said that, when it comes to the financial market, especially when it comes to the central banks, then the word guidance is a substantial important term. Technically speaking, even for big corporations, big mutual funds, and all, the term guidance is very important. But when it comes to central bank, the importance of the word guidance is beyond limitation. Because central bank is a financial institution who manages the economy of that country. And in some cases, like the big four, which includes the Federal Reserve, the European Central Bank, the Bank of Japan, and People Bank of China. These four central banks are technically ruling across the globe. Technically ruling across the globe. In fact, they are so powerful that the decision taken by them may impact even the commodities market also. Because Federal Reserve controls US dollar. European Central Bank control another powerful currency which is called euro. On the other hand side, China is the second largest economy in the world. People may have difference of opinion about the growth rate of China, but to me, if an economy whose size is near to $22 trillion, and even if that economy is growing at the rate of 5%, that is a great achievement. Because $22 trillion your size and you are growing by 5%, which means every year you are adding $1 trillion in your economy. So that is really a great achievement. Fourth is the Bank of Japan. Ladies and gentlemen, currently the word guidance is unguided in the world of financial market. Because different central banks of the globe are holding the different views as far as their interest rate policy is concerned. I'm not against that. I'm completely in sync that as a central bank, this is your jurisdiction to decide whether you want to increase the interest rate or you do not want it to increase the interest rate. But having said that, one very respectful submission I wish to make is to make the thing clear, which is unfortunately I am not being able to find out. So around 1.5 years ago, when Russia-Ukraine war started, and it is quite unfortunate that this war is still going on, and there is hardly any, information which is coming that the war may stop. But this video is not about the war. When the Russia-Ukraine war started, then all of a sudden inflation started moving up, and I completely in agreement of that. Because two countries are fighting with each other, of course, inflation has to go. Oil prices went up, everything went up. So central bank decided to tame the inflation. And at this given point of time, rather than increasing the supply line, which was my opinion, rather a request, central bank decided to increase the interest rate because they believe that if they increase the interest rate, then the demand will come down. And when the demand will come down in that technical sense, the inflation will automatically cool down. But till what extent this logic is correct, that is a highly debatable topic, and lots of debate hasn't happened. And I strongly feel that to tame the inflation, supply side has to increase rather than the interest rate to increase. But unfortunately, in the last 2.5 years, since I am tracking the financial market on daily basis, in 2.5 years, the debt level of various countries of the globe, without quoting any specific name, has grown. In many cases, it has grown over 100% of the GDP. So, gone are the trend when debt to GDP ratio of 80% used to term as a very a severe constraint. Today, even a debt to GDP ratio of more than 100% is not a big issue. And in few cases, debt to GDP ratio crossed even more than 150%. Even more than 150%. Ladies and gentlemen, why the word guidance is very important now? Because now the debt level is rising. And once the debt level is rising, and if a central bank is not giving a clear picture that whether central bank is in a wish to increase interest rate or is in a wish to cut down the interest rate, the impact on the finance cost on that relevant country, say XYZ, is highly misguided. Because you name the country, the debt level is rising. In few cases, the debt level is very high. In less number of cases, the debt level is at reasonable level. We can't say low, but a reasonable level. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the very important thing which we need to understand and which we can request from the central banks is to give a clear guidance that whether they will increase the interest rate or they will cut down the interest rate. Few central banks decided to cut down the interest rate, which is really a substantive job, and I completely in agreement with that. Because currently the world market is moving from recession. We agree or do not agree, but this is a hard reality because many big players, without quoting any specific name, they are cutting down the jobs. And since they are cutting down the jobs, the salaries are cutting down, the bonuses are cutting down, finding job is just like, climbing on a Mount Everest. So in these scenarios, if the interest rate would continue to be high in that relevant country, then rather than having an impact on the inflation, it would have impact on the human life also. Another important factor which I wish to highlight is that since the debt level is rising, in some cases, the debt level is in domestic currency, which is definitely a good signal. In some cases, the debt level is in foreign currency, which is not a good signal. Because when the debt is in local currency, then you are saved or accustomed from the impact of revaluation. On the contrary, if the debt is in foreign currency, then there is an impact of revaluation. It means you are double hit. Please take a note of that. As for ladies and gentlemen, the very important thing which we can request from the central bank is that if the interest rate not come down in a period of time, then the finance cost would continue to grow. That's a hard fact. We cannot run away. The more the finance cost would continue to grow, the more debt monetization that relevant country would do. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember that debt monetization is a very serious issue for whatever country. Henceforth, the word guidance to me is currently unguided because when I look at the central bank and see that they would be giving something substantially, I am finding that forget substantially, they are speaking something whereby finding a meaning is a difficult job. This is a request I wish to make. This is Rahul Magan. You have my number. See you soon, ladies and gentlemen.